Good morning, everyone. Please make yourselves comfortable. Our theme this week is our courage to relax, so find time to relax. I want to acknowledge our High Watch folks who hold space for us, hold space for our service. Joe Puzak and Jerry Crippen in the back, thank you so much for being of service to our community. Thank you so much. We are Love in Action, transforming lives, transforming communities. Think about that for a moment. Transforming lives, transforming communities. It's a beautiful thing. For those of you that have joined us on the YouTube and Facebook platforms, we extend a sincere welcome. So happy you're here with us. Please enter your comments in the comment field and your prayer requests also there during our service. We're so happy you're here with us. Today is May Day. For some of you that aren't familiar with it, I just am going to say Happy May Day. As we begin our time together, if you'll join me in the opening invocation prayer, if you feel comfortable closing your eyes. God is all there is. God resides within us, each of us, always. And in this space of one mind, we lift up our lives, our prayers, our hopes, our dreams, knowing that they are manifesting in this very moment. We welcome you into the sanctuary where love resides, where God resides, where Spirit resides, where the universe knows itself. Where Spirit knows us. Take a moment to think of someone you love that is unable to join us here today, and watch them walk through the door. We welcome you. We love you. We lift up our lives to the wonderful universe that holds us every moment of our lives. and so it is.
Good morning. Hi. I'm Jeffrey McNutt. I'm a licensed spiritual practitioner and community manager here at the center. And as Dino mentioned, the theme today is the courage to relax. And as Michael Singer, the great author of the book, The Untethered Soul, he writes very eloquently on this subject in that book. And he talks about our edges, which we typically misconstrue as our limitations. So you might say, I'm on my last nerve. Or you might say, that person is just so beautiful, I can't stand it. Edges. We have them physically, mentally, emotionally. So he says, when you are trained like a great athlete to immediately relax through your edges when they get hit, then it's all over. You realize that you will always be fine. Nothing can ever bother you except your edges. And now you know what to do with them. You end up loving your edges because they point your way to freedom. All you have to do is constantly relax and lean into them. Then one day, when you least expect it, you fall through into the infinite. That is what it means to go beyond. So what I thought we would do this morning is practice this little lesson that Michael Singer gave us. And so it's going to go like this. I just welcome you to, plant your feet comfortably on the floor and indulge me maybe in closing your eyes and just notice your version of whatever edges you brought into the room with you. Maybe you got a little pain radiating up your back, or maybe somebody's on your mind, or maybe you're upset with me for asking you to close your eyes. Whatever you came into the room with, just sit with it. Do not try to change it at this point. And now my invitation is, as I read this poem, I'd like you to see if you can be transported with me into this poem and experience the poem together with me. And as you do, see if you might not be able to fall through, as Michael Singer says, into the infinite and gain the courage to relax. Come walk with me, for the path cares not the edge and the age of your feet. Look at the butterflies on petals. Their silence does not care the language you speak. Listen to the orchestra of birds. They sing with sincerity, care not if you follow God. See how the trees stand so tall. Their mature branches care not about your wallet's wealth. Feel tiny raindrops kiss your face. Their refreshing mercy cares not for the vibrant color of your skin. Let's bathe in calm waves, for their ripples care not if you are a boy or a girl. Relax in the glory of the sun. Its warm rays care not if you are blind, deaf, or mute. Drink from cool spring waters, for its juices care not whose mouth hydrates from it. Here, hold my pen, for the ink will never judge how you express your scars. In darkness, let's lay together and gaze at an abundance of stars. They care not how you spell your name. They shine for us all, regardless of the moon. Now you're welcome to come back. There is a star with my name on it by the poet Silent One.
Good morning, everyone. I'm practitioner Clarissa Crow, And we are now going to move into our candle altar time. This is our time in the service where we get to light a candle or type something into the chat that you would like to be held in prayer. So folks online, please do that now. Put a candle emoji and we will light a candle for you, or type in what your specific prayer request is. Is there an intention that you have for this day? Some desire that you're wanting to manifest in your life right now? Something that you're willing to let go of? Or something that you want to celebrate? Sorry about that. Anything that may be heavy on your heart. Folks in the room, you can go ahead and start walking up and lighting a candle. We have the lovely Kelly Sandin and Tracy Robert helping us with the candle lighting this morning. So come on up. If you would like to speak your prayer after you light your candle, you can come right up to this mic and speak your prayer out loud. It's very powerful to have us all hold your prayer, to speak it out loud to the room. So we're lighting a prayer for Vanessa Owen, a candle for Vanessa Owen. We're lighting a candle for Reverend Amani. Would like us to light a candle for my dear mother, Alexis Lindsay. She is back home from the hospital, but still wanting prayer, so thank you.
We pray for our community, all of our ministers, and our practitioners. We pray for each of your intentions, your affirmations, for all those you love.
We're lighting a candle for healing for Laura Maness. Candle for Brenda Briscoe.
We light a candle for Joyce.
I light a candle for our son Ben, radiating love to him and his family.
Amen, and so it is.
We light a candle for the well-being of our children, our friends, and our extended family. We light a candle for our pets, our kitty cats, and our doggies, and our goldfish.
Our lizards, I have pet lizards. We can light a candle for them. A candle for Simona Muniz. She says, I ask that you please light a candle for her father, for Simona's father, for healing.
We light a candle for all mothers and intended mothers, the unborn. We light a candle for peace, for our families, our lives, our neighbors, for the world.
Peace for those who are suffering in the world. That's from Yvette Trujillo.
We're going to light a candle this morning for Carmen Healy. We're lighting a candle for Kenneth Winfrey and Tanya Hancock.
I lit a candle for our Albuquerque community, particularly those without homes and direction on where to go.
Amen, and so it is, Molly.
We light a candle for Tracy and for Kelly, who are lighting candles with us today. And at this time, we'd like to anchor your prayers with a singing bowl.
So, I'm going to sing a little song for you guys. There is a Buddhist saying that says the only two things that cause suffering are holding on and holding away. And I know that when I am grasping to control, finding the courage to just let go is how I find freedom. And when I'm holding something away, somebody or some experience, that's usually because of fear. So letting the fear go as well is how I find freedom. So some of you know this song. It's by Mark Hayes. Sing along if you would like. Let it go, let it go. Let the cares of the day fade away. Breathe in the light of love. Let everything go. Go inside to that secret place spirit abides. There is nothing that you have to do. Just rest in the arms of love. Let it go, let it go. Let the cares of the day fade away. Breathe in the light of love. Let everything go. Go inside to that secret place spirit abides. There is nothing that you have to do. Just rest in the arms of love. Rest in the arms of love. Thank you.
Oh, when I was 19, Grandpa took me on a roller coaster.
Oh?
Up, down, down, up, down, down. Oh, what a ride. What a ride.
What a great story. What a great story.
I always wanted to go again. It was just interesting to me that a ride could make me so frightened, so scared, so sick, so excited, and so thrilled all together. Some didn't like it. They went on the merry-go-round. That just goes around. Nothing. I like the roller coaster. You get more out of it.
Sick and the scared and the delight and the thrill. And it's our choice. It's our choice. So last week I introduced the Serenity Prayer, the original Serenity Prayer. The prayer that became known as the Serenity Prayer that many of us are familiar with, but I'm going to share the original again. Spirit, give us courage to change what must be altered. Serenity to accept what cannot be helped, and the insight to know the one from the other. So last week we talked a lot about change and the courage to change. But then I was thinking about why is it that the prayer evolved in the way that it did over these 100 years and became known as the Serenity Prayer and actually changed order. And changed order to, God grant me the serenity to accept what I cannot change, as the first line. And then I got to thinking about how hard it is to be with what is. How hard it is to give ourselves permission to just be on the ride and accept the ride as it is. Or as Clarissa was saying when she introduced the song, to relax our grip on how it is or how we wish it were, how it isn't. And so I thought, maybe that acceptance piece is harder than the change piece. That serenity to accept what cannot be helped is maybe harder to come by than the courage to change. Last week before last, the staff and I were in our weekly spiritual practice. We get together every week and do a spiritual practice together. And I really was feeling called to just kind of shift our regular way and just check in, because many of you know and many of you may not know that we are in the process of having our campus for sale. And it has been a whirlwind. It has been impromptu Zoom calls and 57,000 emails and offers and counter offers and blah, 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 blah. And it's been a roller coaster ride. And so I just wanted to check in and see how they were doing. And what was really, really beautiful was everybody was fine. Everybody was fine, but what we began to talk about is what is making that possible. What is allowing each staff member, what is allowing each of us to just be in it and be on the ride, in absolute trust and faith in the unfolding. And the lovely Clarissa said, well, I can't relax if I'm clinging. And I thought, oh yeah, I'm writing that down and I'm using it in service. I can't relax when I'm clinging. And I think this clinging cannot exist at the same time as faith. We can't be in a place of trusting God if we are clinging. Because it means that we must be in a place of doubt. We must be in a place of fear. We are attempting to control and manage, sometimes micromanage, what life is doing, rather than relaxing into the one. Rather than giving ourselves over in absolute faith that the ride is the ride, and that no matter what goes down, we're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. Because God, even in the worst of circumstances, when things are going all the way wrong from what you are wanting them to do, there is still an okayness that can't be undone. Right? We are the infinite lives of the one that can't get broken. No matter what's happening on the ride. No matter what's happening in this thing called life. And it's actually in that letting go, it's in that surrendered place, it's in that ultimate relaxation, loosening our grip, letting our hands off the wheel, that we begin to have the experience of serenity. Which is really what many of us are longing for. We get on the merry-go-round, we aim for sameness, because we are looking for peace. Because we're looking for that experience of serenity, and we get confused about how to get there. And think, if I could just control these situations, if I could just control so-and-so's behavior, if I could just control my own behavior, if I could just control, what the planet's doing and what the ecosystem is doing, and if I could just control what corporations are doing or what politicians are doing. then I would have serenity. And that's not actually how it works. Has anybody been successful at controlling life? Yeah? Anybody online? Have you just successfully controlled the unfolding of life itself? If you think you have, you're lying to yourself. It is just simply not how it works. One of the ways that I began to try to make friends with this idea in my younger days, I come from a music background, and when I was very young, I played in the orchestra. And I was always fascinated with the conductor. And in these sometimes giant orchestras, like, all the schools would come together and we'd do these epic, several hundred kids playing in this one orchestra. And I thought to myself, I do not want to be that person. I do not want to be up there with this little tiny stick trying to make a bunch of teenagers play the same song at the same time in the right key. Lord have mercy. And then when I would find myself attempting to micromanage life, I would think of the orchestra. And I would think of God as this ultimate conductor with this tiny stick and billions of lives being orchestrated, and what a joke it is to think I had anything to say about how that was going to go. And when you sit in the reality of what actually is, the complex nature of one human being, the complex nature of soil and how plants grow and water runs, and to think, to have the arrogance to believe that I could somehow manage that, control that. And the invitation that life continues to make to us is an actual real peace, freedom, as Clarissa shared with us. That when we let go of how all of that is going, and we surrender into what Howard Thurman called the will to wholeness, this is where our serenity lies. Howard Thurman said, if our spirits are relaxed at their nerve center, we commit ourselves to this will to wholeness and go on living each day with confidence, doing the next right thing with quiet enthusiasm. And I believe this will to wholeness is innate in us. It is part of that divine spark that has created each one of us alive in this time. And that will to wholeness is that desire in us that's seeking freedom, that's seeking peace, that's seeking serenity, because there's something in us, even if we're not fully conscious, that knows that we can have it, that knows that there's this wholeness to be experienced in our divinity and our nature, that maybe is feeling like it's outside of our grasp, but there is a spark in us, there's an impulse in us that is innate as divine emanations of the one, that is always moving us towards this wholeness. And so that desire for peace is the thing to lean into. As Jeff shared in those edges, our way towards that freedom, towards that wholeness, is going to be the places where we lose our peace. The places where we bump into false ideas about how to get the peace, the serenity. That is our personal pathway to freedom. Is when we bump into those places, and then we lean in until that will to wholeness grabs us and says, oh, my love, you've got it all wrong. that thing you're bumping into, here's another invitation. Here's another invitation to relax into faith. Here's another opportunity to soften, and as Pema Chodron says, relax as it is. In her book, When Things Fall Apart, there's a whole chapter called Relax as It Is. And I was like, dang, she wrote a whole chapter on it. Whole chapter. And she says, once we know this instruction, we can put it into practice. And it's up to us what happens next. When we relax as it is, it ultimately comes down to the question of just how willing are we to lighten up and loosen our grip? How honest do we want to be with ourselves? And I remember I first read that, I thought, what does honesty with ourselves have to do with relaxing? Well, what do you think? How honest do we have to be with ourselves in order to loosen our grip, to stop clinging? First, we have to understand that we are clinging. First, we must acknowledge to ourselves that we've hit an edge. We have to be honest with ourselves and be like, oh yeah, I do that. Here I am, once again, trying to tell life what to do. Here I am, once again, trying to tell my husband or wife or my partner what to do. Here I am, quite sure that I know what's right, and that if everyone would just listen to me, they would just do the right thing. Right? That honesty with ourselves, that bumping into our edge and acknowledging like, woo, I am clinging. This is how we relax with what is to know when we're not. And one of the ways I think the Serenity Prayer has served so many is because it has given permission in prayer to say, all right, I'm not in peace. I'm not in serenity right now. I'm freaking out. I want to do all the things. I want to numb. I want to avoid. I want to run. And now I'm going to take a minute and ask for serenity. I'm going to take a beat and lovingly, compassionately be honest with myself about where I really am. And do so with acceptance. Because I think we get confused in the Serenity Prayer, give me the serenity to accept what cannot change. Spirit, give me serenity to accept what cannot be helped. And that starts first with where we are in our own acceptance of who and how we are being. I find it has very little to do with what's happening out here that we need to work on acceptance with. It has everything to do with how's our self-acceptance going. Much of our suffering, angst, lack of serenity, lack of peace comes from all the ways we are judging ourselves. Well, why are you freaking out? Why are you not at peace right now? You're a spiritual person. You should be at peace right now. You should be able to just easily go, oh, all is well. And when you don't feel that way about whatever's happening or not happening or blah, then becomes the merry-go-round of beating ourselves up. The merry-go-round of all of the ways we don't accept ourselves and think we have to be fixed. Anybody come to this space today with a hope for some fixin'? With a hope that maybe I'll leave today a little better, a little more holy. And it's a huge mistake, in my opinion, to believe that a spiritual practice will fix you. Because that then means you believe you are broken. And the greatest freedom, the greatest peace, the greatest serenity there is to experience is the moment, that infinite dive that Michael Singer was talking about, where you just somehow fall through the edge you've hit into this infinite peace or serenity or whatever. That is knowing the truth of who you are. That's what that infinite place is. That's what freedom is. It is not going to save you from the circumstances of the merry-go-round, the circumstances of the roller coaster ride, whichever you have chosen. What it does is, because you've recognized there's nothing to fix, that there is a holy, divine will to wholeness that is moving in you, that is simply the beautiful ride of a lifetime to discover your magnificence, to discover that you have been whole all along and ain't a crack in it, that you have been breathed into existence by the Holy Blessed One, and there is no possibility of brokenness. There is no possibility that there is something to repair or fix. This is what I believe is answered prayer when we ask for the serenity to accept. It's about accepting our wholeness. It is that opportunity in all spiritual tradition to lean into all of what and who and how we are and stumble up into the reality that nothing was ever wrong. And to stumble into this experience of our divine nature, which has always been so. This is that ultimate peace and serenity that exists. This is what happens when we relax as it is and gather up the courage to meet that moment and recognize somewhere in this relaxing, somewhere in this faith of mine, somewhere in this process, I am going to break free from my clinging, from my expectations, from my judgment, and find out it's been fine all along. This is why Pema Chodron says, when you begin to put this into practice, this relaxing as it is, the challenge becomes, how honest am I willing to be with myself? How much of who and what and how I am can I accept? Which then breeds acceptance of all this. The more we can get on the ride. I love the grandma who was looking at Steve. You know she was looking at Steve Martin that whole time, right? Some people don't like the roller coaster ride, she said. And she had the years and the wisdom to know that all the fun of being alive is in that ride. All of it. The ups, the downs, the twists, the turns, the whiplash. Have you ever been on a roller coaster? That is where the freedom lies, when we can relax with the ride. And I believe we relax because we know who we are. We know what God is. We know that there is an infinite and ultimate perfection that cannot be broken by the ride, by anything, by any circumstances, by anybody else's behavior, by anybody else's vote, cannot be broken. And I want you to take a moment right now and think about a circumstance in your life that you are clinging to. An outcome that isn't happening how you want it to happen. Somebody's choices who are not in alignment with how you think their choices should be. I want you to bring whatever that is in your life right now into mind. And then I want you to imagine the worst possible outcome. The most terrifying unfolding. And relax. See if you can hold that possibility in your mind's eye, in your mind, and relax with it. I'm not going to ask you to imagine it better or different, but to just be with it and let go. And let go into the infinite love that's also here right now. Let go into your divine nature that cannot be broken by whatever may or may not happen. And I want you to notice, if you are willing to relax as it is, that your experience of peace isn't missing. That as you allow your shoulders to drop, your breath to deepen, that situation has done nothing, and you can find peace. There lies freedom. There lies the space to be at choice. And as Howard Thurman says, to move with quiet enthusiasm into the next right thing. He goes on to say in that same piece, the amazing wonder of it all is that life abounds in all variety of resources and resourcefulness. Every moment is a divine encounter. Every facet is an exposure to the boundless energies by which life is sustained and our spirits made whole. Every moment is a divine facet of life's energies. There is no other possibility, right? We opened today's whole service with Dino saying, God is all there is. And if that is true, then every moment, whether you are on the upswing of the ride or the downswing, that moment, this moment, is a divine facet of spirit. He goes on to say this, we live joyfully from this space into life and its restraints. A lot of people don't believe me when I say your joy, your peace, your serenity, it's all in here and it's constant. We get really distracted by the ups and by the downs. We get really distracted by our feelings. And we think sometimes that those feelings are the most real thing. These sensations that come and go and ebb and flow, our sadness, our fear, our anger, our laughter, our joy, these emotions are the ride. The constant divine nature is the constant experience we have access to no matter what's happening on the ride. That will to wholeness is saying, my love, lean in, I'm right here. You can always find me. I am never changing. And I promise that serenity, that peace, that joy, that love that is the Holy Blessed One that is present as the divine facet of life itself in every changing moment is ever available in here. Even when it feels like it's not. And this is why we practice. We practice because when things are not so high and low, we practice in these moments in our daily lives so that we can gather the courage to call on that constant, never-changing spirit that is ever present in the highs, in the lows. It's the practice that allows us to meet those really, really hard moments in faith. That when everything around us feels like it is crumbling and whirlwind and roller coaster in the not fun way, there is something we can rest in. There is this constant that I call God that you can rest in. Like the beautiful song. The arms of love are ever holding you. And this is why teachers like Pema Chodron can say, just relax as it is, even though some of us are like, relax as it is. I came into this new thought teaching, I came into science of mind to change it, to learn how to manifest my reality. Relax as it is. That's for the Buddhists. And I am offering that you might want to be in a relaxed space as the divine tries to give itself to you. As Howard Thurman says, life abounds in all variety of resources and resourcefulness. Ernest Holmes said that God is the infinite givingness. But if we're clinging, micromanaging, controlling, keeping it in my box, just keep it the same, please, keep it the same. How do you imagine you will be relaxed enough to receive the infinite givingness of the One? Relaxing as it is goes hand in hand with manifesting and co-creating your reality. Because I'll tell you what, if you are vibrating at the pace of fear, what do you imagine you will attract? Fear. If you are vibrating at the pace of holding on super tight to what is, what do you think you're going to get? Holding on super tight to what is. This is not fun. I do not believe this is what we've been put on the planet for, is to hold tight. This infinite givingness has so much to give us. This infinite abundant that is God is saying, just open your arms a little bit so I can come on in. Open your hands, open your heart. Let me in. Let go so you can have it, whatever the it is. So one of the ways we can begin to practice that is a practice that Pema Chodron shares in the same chapter. She calls it's a letting go meditation. And she calls it the just touch the out breath and let it go. Touch the out breath and let it go. And the reason why we're going to practice that this week, and we will practice a little bit together now, is because this out breath of ours is this beautiful, constant demonstration of releasing. Right? And if you hold on to your out breath, you will die. Right? And so it's this practice that we do and we commit ourselves to so that in those moments when we really want to cling and we really want to hold on for dear life, feels like the whole ground maybe is falling away from us. If we've got this practice in our tool belt, we've got the muscles to still be in the letting go. And it's a simple practice, so join me for a moment. Breathe. Notice your breathing. And all I want you to do is pay attention to your exhale, your out breath. That's it. And don't hold on to it. Don't try to make it last longer than it normally does. Just touch it with your attention and let it go. That's it. If you find your mind racing and your attention goes to your thoughts, just gently and lovingly say to yourself, thinking, and come back to your out breath. And as you are watching that out breath and letting it go, each one, I want to share the definition of Maitri from Sanskrit. It's a word for loving kindness. Or unconditional friendliness. So as you sit there and you practice this touching and letting go, touching and letting go, I want you to do it with Maitri. That whatever's happening in your mind, whatever thoughts may be racing, you meet them with unconditional friendliness for your own self. Whatever is running through your mind, whatever feels like I can't let go of, whatever judgment, whatever shame may rise as you practice this letting go, meet it with unconditional friendliness for yourself. And I offer this practice from Pema Chodron's teacher as a simple way to begin to make friends with your wholeness and all that comes with your wholeness. All of it. Knowing that this Maitri, this unconditional friendliness, is this offer you make to yourself first. And everything else you get to let go. So I would like to invite you to close with me today with the original Serenity Prayer, which we will be visiting and touching on and talking about for the rest of our series. But I want you to also notice how this prayer changes for you over the next several weeks. Join me. Spirit, give us courage to change what must be altered. Serenity to accept what cannot be helped. And the insight to know one from the other. And so it is. I did not bring my phone up. Could somebody run me my phone? That would be awesome. Thank you. Yes. So this incredible ride we've been on in this community has included the unexpected arrival of the beautiful Manara Muslim community. And we had the final iftar last night, which is the breaking of fast that is celebrated in community, with a beautiful wedding ceremony of the beautiful Kenneth and Jennifer. And I wanted to talk about that during our time of giving, of donating, because these are the kinds of things that unexpectedly come into being in faith community, that come into being when we loosen our grip of how we think it's supposed to be and welcome the infinite givingness of the one, the infinite abundance of the one, when the one says, here's an opportunity to lean into your mission of love and action, transforming lives and communities, and allow this very community to be transformed by partnering with a Muslim community, by breaking bread and celebrating and learning traditions. And so as the holy days of Ramadan end, the Eid, which is the final celebration as the halal moon becomes sighted, which should happen probably at sunset today. And then in the following 24 hours is the completion of Ramadan. So tomorrow, right here, for those of you in the local area, I invite you, I believe it'll begin around 10 a.m. with prayers and a sermon, but then it's a market of artists and craftsmen and artisans who will be selling their wares, having lunch and brunch potluck together tomorrow right here in the labyrinth in the courtyard. And I want to invite you, because this is also an opportunity to support individuals by buying their wares. And Arabic is not my language, y'all, so please help me. The zakat, which is one of the pillars, so charity and giving and generosity is one of the pillars of Islam. And during the final Ramadan celebration is when a lot of Muslim families pay their zakat, which will also be happening tomorrow. And I thought, I love this as a super intentional practice. Many of us who come from a Christian or even Judaism tradition, we think of tithing as a thing. But it's not a pillar, I would say. Generosity and charity are pillars of all the faith traditions. But in Islam, there's a real tradition and ritual around how that happens. Which is, you may have noticed that during Ramadan, their food outreach program happened twice a week instead of once a week. Which is a part of the Ramadan tradition, is you increase your generosity and charity even while you are fasting. And so tomorrow is an opportunity, we are all welcome to celebrate with them and to pay zakat. Yeah, isn't that cool? So if you would like to pay zakat in this community, there are multiple ways to do that. You can go to the website, abqcsl.org, and hit the donate button. You can see on your screen the text to give number, 505-847-8431, or you can take a picture of the QR code and it will take you to our giving page. Thank you, thank you, thank you. What a delight it is to be in community with you. I love you so much. Let's have Joy Lynn come on up and wrap it up.
Thank you, Reverend Amani, for that powerful message. And absolute food for thought for the week. First, I'd like to remind you and invite you to our annual meeting, which happens today at noon on Zoom, and you can find the link in our newsletter. In addition, if there's some place in your life where you're not feeling whole, perfect, and complete, or something has the shoulders up against the ears, please, prayer at abqcsl.org is the place to go. Practitioners are here to pray with and for you during this time, each and every day throughout the week, and we appreciate it when we appreciate praying for you as well. That's what our jobs are. That's what we are. That's what we're here to do. Also, please visit abqcsl.org for any information that you'd like to know about our community. There are so many things that are happening and going on that we don't speak of in the day, but there are just a plethora of things to find at abqcsl.org. Also, what I'd like to say is prayer begins from the heart, and the Courage to Relax, this series that we're working with, is just the perfect thing for me because, you know, busyness has been my religion for most of my life. And Spirit took my busyness into Spirit's own hands a couple of years ago, and I have learned that I don't need to be on the roller coaster. I can embrace it when it feels that way, but I don't need to be there. And so that's what I'm here to say to you, is that busyness is not a religion, and it can be let down just like the baggage we talk about each week. And so in this moment, if you'd bring your attention to your heart space, that place where God resides, that place where love is, that place where our heart meets the heart of every other person that comes to our minds, in our person and in our love, in our life. Knowing that love is all there is and the rest we make up, we know that God is love, God is peace, God is joy, God is health, God is prosperity. God surrounds every child and every mother, every grandmother and every grandfather and every cousin and every person that our heart belongs to. And I know without a shadow of a doubt that love resides right inside of me, right here. And when I am feeling that place way, way, way outside of myself, I place my hand on my heart, and it brings me back to this time and place right now that Reverend Amani created for us, that powerful, loving place that knows, that is familiar, that peace is where it is, that I am okay just the way I am and just the way that I am not. Knowing this to be the truth, I release my word with deep, abiding gratitude, knowing that it cannot come back to me void, for it is done, it is complete, and so it is. And at this time, I invite you to read the affirmation with me. We rest our precious lives on the pillow of Spirit, knowing that all we desire already exists, and so it is. I look